The selfie that cost everything, 2018 India. In the age of social media, people do stupid things for likes. But this guy took it to a whole new level. Let's call him Rajesh. Rajesh was scrolling through Instagram one day and noticed all these influencers posting pictures with dangerous animals. Lions, tigers, bears. Oh my! Rajesh wanted that clout. He wanted those likes. He wanted to be Instagram famous. So when he was driving down a road in rural India and saw an injured bear on the side of the road, his first thought wasn't, "That's dangerous," or "I should call animal control." No, his first thought was, "Content." This bear was clearly hurt. It was lying down, looking weak. Rajesh thought this was perfect. A weakened bear, a safe photo opportunity in his mind. He pulled over, grabbed his phone, and slowly approached the bear. Now, let's be clear. This is a wild bear. Not a teddy bear, not a bear at the zoo behind glass. A real, actual, wild bear with teeth and claws and all the standard bear equipment designed to maul things. Rajesh got closer. The bear didn't move. Even better! He got his phone out, opened the camera app, flipped it to selfie mode, and positioned himself. He's probably thinking about what caption to use. "Just hanging with my buddy," or "Berry cool day," or something equally cringeworthy. He snapped a few photos. The bear still hadn't moved. Rajesh got confident. He moved even closer, trying to get a better angle. Maybe a video this time. The bear suddenly decided it had had enough of this nonsense. Turns out, injured doesn't mean dead or friendly or wants to be your profile picture. The bear attacked. We're talking full mauling mode. Teeth, claws, the whole 9 yards. The horrifying part? His phone was recording. It captured everything. The whole attack is on video. His screams, the bear roaring, everything. That phone survived better than he did. Think about this. Rajesh saw a wild bear, an apex predator that can literally tear humans apart, and thought, yeah, selfie time. Even injured bears are dangerous. That's like seeing a wounded lion and thinking, oh, perfect, it's tired, now's my chance to pet it. The bear wasn't posing for Instagram. The bear was trying to die in peace. And this guy rolled up like a wildlife photographer without any training, experience, or common sense. What gets me is that people take selfies with statues and get them confused with real things sometimes. But this was a living, breathing bear. It was moving. It was making sounds. At what point do you think, maybe this is a bad idea? Apparently never. The answer is never. The lava lamp heating experiment, 2004, USA. Let me introduce you to a 24-year-old guy who we'll call Kevin. Kevin had a lava lamp. You know, those groovy lamps from the 60s and 70s where the wax blobs float around inside liquid. They're pretty cool when they work. Kevin's lava lamp wasn't working right. The wax wasn't flowing anymore. It just sat at the bottom like a sad blob, refusing to do its lava lamp duties. Kevin had probably had this lamp for years, and he was determined to fix it. Now, a normal person might Google how to fix lava lamp, or maybe just buy a new one. They're like $20. But Kevin was an innovator, a problem solver, a man of action. He thought, the wax isn't melting because it's not hot enough. The lamp's bulb must not be working properly. I need more heat. So Kevin unscrewed the bulb and carried his lava lamp to the kitchen. He put it directly on the stove and turned the heat up. You know, like you would with a pot of soup. Except this wasn't soup. It was a sealed glass container filled with liquid and wax. Kevin stood there, watching it, waiting for the wax to start moving. The lamp started getting hot. Really hot. The liquid inside started bubbling. Kevin probably thought, yes, it's working. Then the lamp exploded. Just boom, like a glass grenade. Shards of glass flew everywhere in the kitchen. One particularly large shard went straight through Kevin's chest and pierced his heart. He died almost instantly. Let's discuss what went wrong here. When you heat a sealed container, the liquid inside expands and creates pressure. The pressure builds and builds until the container can't take it anymore. Then it explodes. This is taught in middle school science class. This is why pressure cookers have release valves. This is why you don't microwave sealed containers. Kevin essentially made a glass bomb and just stood there waiting for it to work. Even Wile E. Coyote would have run away at this point. Cartoon characters have better survival instincts. The lava lamp was probably worth $15, maybe $20 if it was a fancy one. Kevin died over a $20 lamp that he could have replaced in 10 minutes on Amazon. He didn't even Google, "Can I heat a lava lamp on the stove?" He just went for it. Full confidence, zero research. And you know what the worst part is? The lava lamp probably started working right before it exploded. The wax was probably flowing beautifully for like 2 seconds before the whole thing went nuclear. Kevin technically succeeded in fixing his lamp. He just didn't live long enough to enjoy it. The Concrete Pillow Prank, 1996, USA. This story is so dumb that it makes all the other stories look like Rhodes Scholars. So there were these 3 friends in their early 20s. Let's call them Mike, Dave, and Steve. Steve was the victim here, so remember that name. Mike and Dave thought it would be hilarious to play a prank on Steve, not like a whoopee cushion prank or a fake spider prank. No, these geniuses wanted to do something memorable. They wanted to create a prank that Steve would never forget. Well, they succeeded. Steve definitely didn't forget, mainly because he died. Here's what they did. They got Steve drunk, really drunk, pass-out drunk. Then, while Steve was unconscious, Mike and Dave found a bucket and some concrete mix. Yes, you read that correctly. Concrete mix. Their plan was to put Steve's head in the bucket, fill it with concrete, let it harden, and then Steve would wake up with a concrete block on his head. Ha ha, Steve, you're a blockhead now, literally. Comedy gold, right? They probably thought this was the funniest idea ever conceived by mankind. So they positioned the bucket, carefully placed Steve's head inside, and mixed up the concrete. They poured it in, making sure it covered his whole head. Then they sat back and waited for it to harden, probably giggling like idiots. At some point, and I really wish I knew exactly when, one of them had a thought. Maybe it was Mike, maybe it was Dave. But one of them suddenly said, "Hey, wait, how's he gonna breathe? How is he gonna breathe?" That question came after the concrete was already hardening around their friend's head. Not before, not during the planning phase. After. They panicked. They tried to break the concrete. Too hard. They tried to pull the bucket off. Stuck. They tried to chip away at it. Too slow. By the time they got Steve's head out, he had suffocated. They called 911, obviously, but it was too late. They then had to explain to the police that they killed their friend with a concrete helmet as a prank. The sheer stupidity here is layered. First, they thought encasing someone's head in concrete was funny. Second, they didn't think about breathing until the concrete was already hardening. Third, they apparently didn't know that concrete gets hard and is difficult to remove. Fourth, they didn't consider that unconscious people can't clear their airways if something is blocking them. This isn't even Darwin Award territory anymore. This is a whole new category. This is, how did you survive to adulthood? Level thinking. These guys successfully made it to their 20s without understanding that humans need oxygen to live. That's impressive in the worst way possible. Imagine being Steve's parents and finding out your son died because his friends gave him a concrete head mask. That's not even a sentence that should exist in reality. Sorry for your loss, your son suffocated in a bucket of concrete as a prank, is something that should only exist in dark comedy sketches, not real life. Mike and Dave went to prison, obviously. And somewhere, somehow, Steve is looking down from heaven thinking, those were not my friends. The Window Washer's Shortcut, 1993, Canada. Last one, and it's a classic example of laziness kills. Meet Tony, a window washer in Toronto working on a high-rise building. Tony had been washing windows professionally for years. He knew what he was doing. He had all the safety equipment, all the training, all the experience. Tony was on the 9th floor, standing on his window washing platform. You know, those suspended platforms that move up and down the side of buildings. He'd been working all day and was almost done. Just one more window. One more window. But here's the problem. That last window was just out of reach. To get to it properly, Tony would need to move his entire platform over. This involved cranking some handles, repositioning the suspension cables, making sure everything was secure. Probably a 2 to 3 minute job. Maybe 5 minutes if he was being really careful. Tony looked at that window. He looked at his platform controls. He did some mental math, and he decided, nah, too much work. Instead, Tony thought, I'll just lean. He disconnected his safety harness, grabbed his squeegee, and started leaning out from the platform. Farther, farther, a little more, almost there, just a bit further. He fell 9 stories. The window remained dirty. The window remained dirty. He died and didn't even complete the job. That window is probably still dirty to this day, a monument to Tony's laziness. Let's put this in perspective. Tony was willing to risk, and ultimately lose, his life to save approximately 3 minutes of work. 3 minutes! That's one TikTok video. That's half a song. That's less time than it takes to microwave a burrito. The platform was right there. The controls were right there. He could have moved it safely, washed the window properly, and gone home to dinner. Instead, he chose death. He chose to disconnect his safety harness and lean into the void because repositioning was too annoying. This is like being too lazy to walk to the crosswalk, so you just run across the highway. Or being too lazy to use the stairs, so you jump off the balcony. The energy saved is not proportional to the risk taken. The company Tony worked for probably had to put up a sign after this. Please move the platform, don't just lean, we really mean it. Tony died, don't be like Tony. And that window he was trying to clean. It probably cost $200 to replace. Tony's funeral probably cost $10,000. The hospital bills before he died, probably $50,000. All because of a 3-minute inconvenience. There you have it, folks. 8 people who proved that common sense isn't that common. If you made it this far without face-palming yourself into a concussion, you're doing better than these legends. These stories are real, they're tragic, and they're so dumb that you can't help but laugh and feel bad at the same time. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that make you feel like a genius by comparison. And please, please just think for like 5 seconds before doing something stupid. That's all it takes. 5 seconds of, wait, should I do this? Could save your life.